What's up YouTube, making another champion concept video today for you guys. Today we are bringing you a new mage concept that I came up with known as Leilu, the Witch Doctoress of the Wild. Once again, if you guys like these sort of videos, you guys like this content, please give this video a like, subscribe, leave a comment if you guys want to. Anything helps the channel out. Let's continue to make these awesome content, these awesome champion concepts for you guys. So let's get right into the video. So with Leilu, she is a very different kind of control mage. So I wanted to make a mage that was very good at using elements. What I mean by elements are, you know, petrifies, slows, stuns, roots, blinds. These are all things that don't do damage, but they do affect the fight accordingly. And I know a lot of champions have at least one of these type of abilities. There's a lot of champions who have at least one of these abilities, but I wanted to give her a bunch more and make her, you know, she does damage, but her main goal is to just disrupt the laning phase, make it very difficult for her opponent or opponents, and just kind of win off of them having just a disadvantage against her. So we'll hop right into her kit, the first being her passive, which is known as Power of Juju. So with this ability, Leilu does not use mana as a resource. Instead, she uses a forbidden pool known as Juju magic. Juju magic, so this pool called Juju does not regen automatically like mana does, or even energy. Juju has a much larger starting pool than mana and energy. I know, I think the highest mana pool in the game, or at least one of the highest mana pools in the game, is like 650. I would think 700 would be the lowest that her mana pool could be. Definitely could be higher, could be close to 800, 900. I feel that would be really broken for level 1. But we also have to remember that this does not, you know, Juju does not regen automatically, so she needs to have a larger pool to be able to cast abilities. Juju only replenishes from using the fountain or gaining a level, similar to Lost Passive Chapter, or Lost Chapter's passive. I'm sorry. Mana items do increase the Juju pool, however, mana regen items do not have any effect. So if you're building an item such as Tear the Goddess, that mana regen will not work. Does nothing. And it was a very strange concept that I came up with, because I felt, you know, you kind of need to have regen in your resource pool, or else if you go and, you know, spam abilities, you're kind of out of luck. But I feel like with the rest of her kit, it makes sense, and it's something that you have to play around as Leilu. And when you're playing against her, is, you know, you playing around the ability that she cannot regen mana on her own unless she goes back or she gains a level. Now we'll go into her first ability, which is known as Spirit Sapping. Cooldown ranges from 8 down to 4 with a range of 600. This is a skill shot. Leilu unleashes spiritual energies, tunneling out from her cauldron amulet, flowing in the shape of a serpent, dealing consistent magic damage as it passes through enemies. Each tick of damage dealt to enemy champions converts a percentage of their resource pool into Juju for Leilu to use. Now, this ability is a very good kind of farming, very good resource for staying in lanes. That's a lot of survivability to her. Whew, sorry. Because this is going to do damage, as well as every time this ticks and hits an enemy champion, is going to steal a little bit of their resource pool, whether it's energy or mana, and it's just going to add it right back to her mana pool or her Juju pool. It's going to keep her allowing to cast abilities and keeps her in lane a little bit longer. That's, I think, why it's kind of okay that, you know, her passive doesn't allow her to regen. Also, this the way that what I mean by in the shape of a serpent, so it kind of will flow sort of like a snake, maybe a few pixels to the left, a few pixels to the right. I'm thinking probably it would expand about 200 range and size-wise, and this will just kind of move in that direction until it reaches its destination. But every time it goes through an enemy champion, every second will tick off a percentage of resources. Now, I'm not sure what size of that resource pool will be, maybe like 2 to 3%, or maybe it scales up with every tick. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, what you think a good type of ratio for this ability would be. I would love to hear what you guys got to say. Second ability is Vexen Blood Vials. This has a cooldown ranges from 18 to 10 with a range of 90, 90, and 90. This is a locational target ability, very similar to Twitch's W. Lealu throws 3 vials of Vexen blood in a cone shape. After 1.5 seconds, the vials will explode, leaving behind an acidic chemical compound, spreading from target locations. This compound will deal magic damage over time to enemies, slowing them and also applying an effect called Cursed Blood. Enemies affected by Cursed Blood will be dealt bonus magic damage from Lealu's auto attacks for the next 8 seconds. So this is kind of like if Twitch was able to throw 3 smaller W's kind of in front of him in a little bit of a kind of a like a cone area. This is a very good wave clear ability, also very good for kiting, you know, slows everybody enemies down, as well as adding some extra damage for her that her kit wouldn't necessarily have. Being able to auto attack and just kind of throw out auto attacks that will hit enemies and deal bonus magic damage, it's a great type of, you know, ability to have, especially when you're fighting against tankier champions like Kassadin, like TF, Diana. These are just, you know, some of the like those mage assassin or mage, you know, burst champions that are able to tank a lot of that damage. Diana has a shield, Kassadin has a shield. TF normally builds Rod of Ages. So it's a good way to kind of get through that, as well as if you're just fighting tanks, fighting normal enemies. It's going to be a good ability for it as well. Just gives her a little bit of wave clear, gives her a little control of the laning phase. Third ability, this is probably the biggest part of her kit. Random Witch Concoctions. This has a cooldown ranging from 15 down to 7 with a range of 545 for cast range. Lealu chooses from one of her deadliest recipes to create a cursed serum, then fires it from her voodoo dart. Similar action to TF's pick a card. So if you guys know TF's pick a card, you click W, it cycles through 3 different cards. You click the ability again, stops on that card, and you now use that card for your next auto attack. Same thing with Lealu. So she has 3 different recipes to pick from. The first one is called Halogens. This causes the enemy to see multiples of Lealu, very similar to LeBlanc's passive, but times 2. So if you could imagine, let's say you got hit with let's say LeBlanc would hit you with a Q, and then you now see 3 LeBlancs on the screen. That would scare you a little bit. Same thing with this. I think this ability is going to be very good for when you're getting dove under turret, for when you're, you know, about to get picked in the jungle, just for laning phase in general, because these clones are very similar to LeBlancs, and as they will eat, not similar to LeBlanc's clones, but they're more similar to Shaco's clones in this aspect, because they will actually eat auto attacks. They will eat skill shots. They can eat CC. So you can throw these out, and it's just a good way of, you know, just keeping the enemy guessing of what you're going to do. The second ability is called Stone Limbs. This causes the victim's limbs to feel stiff, decreasing their movement and attack speed. I didn't add a ratio to this because I was kind of on the fence. I wanted to do like 30 or 40% attack speed and movement speed, but I felt like 40 was too high. But then I didn't want to go really low, like 10 or 20, because it just feels like it doesn't really do anything. So I kind of think I'm stuck between the 30 and 40 range for percentage for the decrease in both movement speed and attack speed. Good ability to use if you're getting dove by an assassin, getting dove by somebody who has a lot of movement speed. Just kind of slows them down a little bit, kind of will help you turn the tide of your fight. The third one is called Bow Sickness. Targeted victim has a chunk of health stolen from them, healing Lealu, and that section of the enemy's health becomes a yellow health bar instead of a red health bar or a green health bar if they're playing and they're seeing their health bar on their screen. This health bar now negates a portion of healing for X amount of seconds, causing damage instead of healing. So let's say you are fighting against a GP. You hit GP with Bowel Sickness. This ability now will cause a chunk of his health to turn yellow, and then the next time he uses an orange, it's actually going to deal damage to him and not heal him. This is a very cool effect. There is not almost any skill in the game that I can think of that is very similar to this. This is going to stop a lot of champions who are able to self-heal. You can put this champion in the lane versus a Vlad. You can put this champion in the lane versus a Swain, versus a Volibear, versus an Aatrox, versus a Trundle. And you really are going to have, you know, a way to counter them without having to build Morello at the very beginning of the game. Now, obviously, you're probably going to want to build Morello anyways in those matchups, but this gives you a little bit of more stability, kind of stops him from healing as much, especially if you're, let's say you knock Volibear's passive down. You hit him with one of this, his You hit him with this ability, his passive pops up. Now he's being dealt damage. He's probably losing at least 30 to 40% of what his passive healing is going to do, which could change the course of a dive, of a fight, and maybe cause you to win the game. So I think this ability has a lot of outplay potential to it. Definitely think Riot needs to implement an ability like this into the game. I think this will add a lot of fun scenarios, both for ladder and for competitive. Now the last ability here has a few different parts to it. This is called Voodoo Ritual, also called Mind Control. It has a cooldown I put from 10 to 5, but I definitely think could be, I mean, obviously the cooldown could be a little bit higher. I'm thinking probably 160 for this ability. And the whole purpose of this ability, so you have two different actives on this ability. First part, Lealu will conjure a spiritual needle, and it will be blue in color. So this is very important to know. This is used as a skill shot, dealing damage on impact with an enemy champion and marking them with ritual, also slowing the target for X amount of seconds. The second active is the same exact part, it's the same exact ability, but instead of a blue needle, it's a pink needle. So now she can shoot this needle at a target as well, marking them with ritual. Now here's where the fun part of this ability comes in. So if you hit the same target with both needles, both the blue and the pink needle, you can now activate it a third time to cast Mind Control. This ability applies an effect called Trance on an enemy target, which we do not have an ability called, we don't have an effect in the game called Trance right now. We have Charmed and Sleep, nothing that says Trance. Trance allows the user, the host, which would be Lealu, to control the enemy target for X amount of seconds. You can only control their movements. You cannot use their abilities. You can control them with Lealu's ultimate. So basically they become a walking Tibbers in a sense. Now, why would you want to be able to control an enemy champion? So a few different reasons. One, let's say you're getting dove by Master Yi under turret. You hit him with both of these needles and then apply Trance. You can now have him walk away from you as you're walking the other way under turret, and then he can continue to tank turret shots. It's a very, very good way to kill somebody. Also in team fights, you're going to be able to lock down somebody with Trance, have them maybe walk out of the team fight or have them walk into the middle of your team, and by the time Trance is done, they're going to die. This is a very, very strong ability. I would love to see Riot put this into the game as well. I think this would be a game-changing ability. Now, there also is a second part to this ability, which I think is just as powerful. If two separate champions are hit with different needles, you can reactivate to charm both targets for X amount of seconds. This effect only works if they are both in range of Lealu, and Lealu is in range of both of them. So if you're in range of one person and not the other one, it will not work. So now she has an ability that allows her to control an enemy champion, or she can just target two different champions and then charm both of them, basically like a Evelyn, E, or a Ari E. This is a very, like I said, she has a lot of CC, a lot of control in this kit outside of just damage. This makes her a very, very strong pick. I think she could be played as a support. In certain lanes she'd be able to play as a support, but I think she'd be really, really strong as a mid laner. But you guys let me know what you guys think. Let me guys know what you guys think of every single ability, what you guys like, what you guys don't like, and what type of champions you guys would like to see me create in the future. Remember, like I said, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Like I said, every single bit helps. I'll see you guys in the next video.